Okay, guys, hello and welcome to our second edition of Pay It Forward. My name is Ben Rookwood. I am part of the coaching staff at Cortex. Pay It Forward is an online platform where we discuss things to raise awareness, change thought process, engage with isolated athletes, and also challenge any stereotypes out there. Today, we have a topic where we talk about supplements, and our guest talk is from Jack Braniff of Sports Nutrition. How are we doing, Jack?
Yeah, really good. Thanks, mate.
Good to see you, buddy. Jack and I have worked with each other for over a few years now, about 2-3 years.
Yeah.
Done seminars together. I've also been a student of Jack's as well. Jack is very knowledgeable about supplements, nutrition, and helping athletes get into the next level. The reason I got Jack on today is I had a request from a few athletes that are confused and stuck in the world of supplements, knowing what to take and when to take. Obviously, the market out there is pumping a lot of information. So we've asked Jack to come on board just to kind of sift through that and give us some expert advice on that. So, Jack, imagine if I was approaching you as a fresh athlete. I wanted to take my game to the next level. I'm eating pretty cool. However, I feel that I want to obviously push on, recover better. If I was going to step into the world of supplements, where would I start?
Yeah, good question. I think it's important, like you said, as long as you've got your diet in order first. I think we've spoken about this before, but if your diet's poor, there's no point thinking that supplements are going to come to your rescue. It's really not like that. You're going to get far more for your money if you focus on the quality of your diet. And once you've got that in order, then yeah, we can start looking at supplements. But I think even then, you'll know, I get this question all the time, kind of what supplements do I start? It's a minefield out there. And the reason is because most of it's useless. And if you look, say, through some of the processes of how you go about choosing a supplement, is it safe? Will it actually work for you as a person? So it's all well and good that we've done research in rat studies, but if it's not going to help, say, a CrossFit athlete or a runner or a cyclist, then don't take it. And when we boil it down, to be honest, if you're probably talking like a handful, so should we to run through them or should we go?
Yeah, so you kind of touched on there, obviously nutrition. So I've definitely learned from yourself that you can get a lot from that, from eating. And the word supplement, obviously the clue's in the title, it's there as an addition or to supplement any deficiency that you can't get through diet, or you need an excess amount of, say like protein, or, we touched on vitamin D as well. So if an athlete is, like I said, they're tracking their numbers, they're dialing in their macros. If they thought that there is what are proven out there to maybe
take it to the next level.
Yes,
that's fair enough. I think the first one really is, like you just mentioned, is kind of protein. I wouldn't always categorize this as a supplement, but again, it's just making sure that you're hitting those numbers. Because I appreciate that, especially for some of the guys, some of our bigger athletes, when you're talking, say, 90, 100 kilos, to get in 200 grams of protein daily can be tough. And in these circumstances, something like a protein powder can be pretty useful. It's cost effective, it's convenient. So again, just kind of having a shake after your workout, popping it in some yogurt or your oats in the morning is just an easy way to bump up these numbers. And I also get asked kind of which way should I have, or which protein powder should I have? And to be honest, it doesn't really matter that much because the end product is fairly similar. I think the only caveat to this really is taste. Okay, so if it's rat or it's horrible, you're not going to have it. So just make sure that it mixes well and it tastes okay, but also just digestibility. So if you're one of the issues with, say, some of your cheap ways is that because it doesn't go through as many it's not as filtered. If you are particularly sensitive to lactose, you might have an issue with, say, a bog standard whey. And this is where you might want to look at, say, something like isolate. But in most circumstances, just a cheap bog standard whey from bulk powders, my protein is more than good enough. So I'd really just start there. If you're, again, lactose intolerant, if you're vegan, look for a vegan blend. Again, mixing protein sources here. There's nothing wrong with soy. Go for that. Beef as well. And pea protein, it does the job. However, for those who have ever tried it before, it doesn't mix very well and it's pretty horrible. So I'll be careful with that. So just think bog standard whey, go for that first, unless you've got any problems with your stomach or kind of you've got any dietary requirements, and that's when you might want to look at something slightly different. Other than, say, food supplements, I think the key one, the big one, is creatine. And for you, if most people here are kind of CrossFit functional athletes, creatine is probably the best bang for your buck in terms of performance outcomes. So I don't want to go into too much details into the science of how it all works, but essentially what creatine does, it enables you to do more work in a certain amount of time. So if you can do more reps and sets within a session, you're going to see more adaptation. So you're going to get stronger, you're going to build lean mass, and you're going to get more powerful. We're seeing improvements in speed. And even what we see now is like the therapeutic benefits as well. So even in people in old age, it's helping prevent, or they're thinking it can help with kind of prevention of Parkinson's and Alzheimer's as well. So even away from just the performance benefit, I even think there might be some health benefits as well. In terms of how to take creatine, there's two different ways. So creatine works is you need to fill up your stores, and you might be asking, well, can I just get it from kind of food? You can, so herring, beef, red meat, but you're not going to get the same saturation levels as you would with a supplement. So if you're going to supplement it, you want to saturate your stores where you can saturate as quick as you can, and you'll do this by, if you have 3 grams per kilo of 0.3 grams per kilo of body weight per day for 4 days. So times your weight in kilos by 0.3. I'll give you some notes as well at the end if you don't remember all this, or buy the book.
Maths test at the end. Right. What was the equation?
We're talking about from like 15, 20 grams per day for 4 days. That's going to saturate your stores, and then you drop it down to 5 grams per day from then on. And again, when do you take this? It doesn't really matter. Like, people see it as a pre-workout, but there's misconception. It's not giving you an immediate benefit. All that we're looking to do is fill up the stores in the muscle, and that's going to provide this benefit. So having it afterwards, I would probably recommend this over having it before, because it reduces the chance of kind of holding a bit more water. So I'd recommend it then. Just in terms of the downsides, to be honest, there's not really many at all. The only real negative is weight gain. And for our sport, or for functional training, for your sport, for CrossFit, that's not really a kind of I would say it provides, well, it's not really an issue unless you're naturally a very big athlete. So it can cause a bit of water retention, but this is within the muscle, so it's not really a problem. But to get around this, what you can actually do is that the washout period of creatine, so how long it takes to get out your system, is about kind of 6 to 8 weeks. So what you can do is train with creatine. And if you find that you're an athlete that holds onto water a bit more than others, 6 to 8 weeks before a competition, you take the creatine out, and you've got the benefits of training with creatine, but you're not going to have those disadvantages of holding that more weight. So that's definitely a way you can get around it. So that's creatine. Have you got any questions about creatine, Ben?
No, so yeah, I've had to play around with creatine, again, just to see the benefits and again, to see my reaction to it. Again, you touched on it, everyone's going to be different to how they react, and again, whether they see that performance. I personally felt a step up, ability to recover better, like you said, push out them extra reps and stuff like that. So yeah, I've been a big fan of creatine and carried on taking it.
I think that's it, and it doesn't have to be anything special. Like, creatine's creatine, so don't try and take all these like SLSs and things that are different. A standard creatine monohydrate is more than enough. Yeah. You can get something called creatine Creapure, and this has got some of it's basically kind of a cleaner version, but it's still super cheap. You're talking about £6-7. And if you're worried about that weight gain, why not just try it for a month, see how you get on, and if you don't like it, don't take it. So it's just, it's because it's so cheap, because we see how effective it is in most athletes. There are some not non-responders, but there's not quite such a response. I would just give it a go. So I think that's the big one, really, if I was you.
And also, yeah, it's not like a magic powder. It's not like all of a sudden you start taking it and then that's going to have the ability to train faster. Yeah, you still have to put the effort in and train. It just gives you the ability to do that. And for myself, being a masters athlete, then that ability to recover the next day and again keep pushing on, I find helps me personally. So another supplement, there's lots of kind of sexy ones out there. Another one is so you've got BCAAs as well. They seem to be doing the rounds. I kind of know your take on them, but yeah, if you'd like to share that opinion.
Yeah, just don't take them, guys. It's luckily now, in fairness, I think people are catching on that we know that so for people that don't know, branched chain amino acids are kind of what protein are formed of. And so you have BCAAs, you've got essential amino acids as well. But out of these branched chain amino acids, there's one called leucine. And imagine this is like the ignition or the starter to building new muscle, which sounds really good. And kind of what people thought, oh, if we can start on this, we can start the building muscle process all the time, we're never going to lose muscle, it's going to help us build it. But the way you've got to see that is it's just the ignition. But then to have a car to run, or to build the actual muscle, you need the building blocks. So you need the rest of the protein. So it's almost like having the ignition for the car, no fuel or no car. Or kind of if you're building a house, it might be, say, have the builders, but you've got no bricks. So it's far better to have a complete protein, so something like milk, a whey, even just like EAA, so your BCAAs and a bit more. And that's going to give you the benefits of these BCAAs and more. And the only reason why it's popular is because it's companies like Nocco. And the only reason why people take it is because it's got caffeine in it. So you've got caffeine, you've got kind of a buzz. But the BCAAs, I don't know if you have to swear on this podcast, but they do nothing. They do absolutely nothing. Honestly, I really would save you money. You can get caffeine pills for about 5-7p per caffeine pill. And you can get milk for what? You can get a pint for 45p as well. So don't take BCAAs.
Bit more expensive down here, mate.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like anything. Like you see, like protein Mars bars now and protein Weetabix. You know, people cotton on because they know that people are getting into supplements, and it's just that they stick a few added things on there, and people buy into it. When you know what I mean.
I don't want to kind of go on too much, but again, with that protein, when you say kind of protein Weetabix, almost the issue now is that people, like you say, cottoned onto, we need high protein diets. But people sometimes are overshooting by far. So I've got people coming to me sometimes and they're having like 2.4 grams per kilo of body weight. Yeah. A lot of that is wasted. And we forget that things like CrossFit, there's a lot of endurance work in there. So if you're sacrificing a shed load of carbs for protein, which is not really that sensible. So if it's chasing that every gram for the sake of a Mars bar, have a normal Mars bar, it tastes better. So again,
I think we're kind of coming out of where the carbs are the enemy. Notably, I think in like you said, in people that are obviously working out for competitions and stuff like that. I think that they're kind of getting away from that. But yeah, carbs are not the enemy. Beta alanine. Okay. Again, supplement that I've personally taken and had a play around with. I don't enjoy taking it because of the tingly feeling, but it's the trade-off for, again, having that ability just to push that a little bit harder, or have my body allow to obviously buffer off the ionization of the muscles. Again, so your take on beta alanine, who should take it, when to take it?
Yeah, again with this one, this is actually what I researched actually for my masters, and I did it on CrossFit athletes. And so the way kind of it works is, like you've said, is that when you do high intensity exercise, so imagine when you're doing the rower, or kind of if you're on the assault bike, and you get that horrible burning sensation in the muscles. Essentially what this is it's hydrogen ion stopping the muscle kind of contracting or working. And what we know is if we take beta alanine, it can kind of buffer these hydrogen ions. It enables you to go that little bit longer. But before thinking, I'm definitely going to take this, if you look at the actual effect it has, it's very, very small. So if you've got, say, nothing wrong with, say, the average, say, woman that's come down to CrossFit, but if you're, say, a 45-year-old man or a woman, you're not really that competitive, to be honest, I just really wouldn't waste your money, because it's such a small benefit, it's just not worth it. And like Ben, you said, is that it's not particularly nice to take, because when you have it, you get kind of a tingly sensation. And it's that kind of trade-off. It's like, if you really want to perform that little bit better, if you're competing, then something like this might be effective. I think what is really important to understand, though, is how to take this. And when you see beta alanine in a lot of supplements, it's marketed as a pre-workout. So you have this kind of tingly feeling, and there's this perception that it's working and it's doing something. But similar to creatine, you have to saturate your stores for up to 4 weeks. So it doesn't do anything that first time you take it. So how to actually take it, you have to take 4 to 6 grams, which is about a teaspoon, for 4 to 6 weeks before you even start seeing any benefits. So to have kind of one beta alanine shot before you start training is just nonsense. Again, it's kind of marketing spiel. So if you do take it, I would firstly ask yourself, does it really matter? Does that extra, say, few reps, those extra few seconds really count? If it does, great. And if that is the case, you need to be taking it for 4 to 6 weeks to have an effect. If you don't like the tingly sensation, what you can do is just split at the dose. So you could just have, say, 1 gram for breakfast, lunch, dinner, and 1 snack. So you're still getting the 4 grams, but it's spaced throughout the day. So yeah, that's my take on that.
Yeah, again, I think obviously you can kind of get the feel for what this is. It's to say what the trade-off is and is it worth it. And I find sometimes maybe some people ask about supplements because they think that it is the kind of metaphoric magic pill. It just doesn't beat hard work. You can't train yourself out of a poor diet, and you've got to put the work in if you want the results first. And it gets to a point where you are putting the work in, you have got your nutrition dialed in, you are sleeping well. What's the next step after that? But I think a lot of people jump and bypass, sleep, training, nutrition, sleep, nutrition, training, and then try to just think, well, I'll go supplements, but then go on the booze all weekend and, eat takeaways. It's just like, well, it's just a waste of your time and money. But again, you because you get them like additional, like you said, the initial hit of an OCO or the beta aniline, you get that instant. So you think, oh yeah, it's working, right? I'm joining 10 then.
I think what I would say, there's no magic pill. I would say caffeine tablets are my magic pill, 100%. It's like as soon as I have my double espresso or kind of like 2 caffeine pills or something like that, it's difficult for me not to have, say, something like that for a hard workout now, which is probably bad. But I would say caffeine is definitely something. Again, there's people respond as much, but it works.
So with the lockdown, I was probably hitting about 2 liters of coffee a day, just out of boredom. And I said to myself, right, I'm going to stop it. I was going to do it for 6 weeks. I lasted 2, and I was just miserable. But it was such part of my routine because every morning I was getting up, having my coffee, journaling, then our breakfast, train. So and then I'd have one in the afternoon. So I was just like, I wasn't functioning. It wasn't hitting my flow. And again, I wasn't getting that initial hit, in 5 o'clock in the morning. So I was
and
took the hit.
It's being able to take it properly and using it effectively. So we know that caffeine's very effective, especially when it comes to endurance training. So if you had it before, say, well, any kind of WOD really, you're going to be able to do. Normally, you would do better. In terms of actual strength, the mechanism doesn't support you get strong. It doesn't make you stronger, but it reduces pain. And if you can kind of reduce kind of that pain perception, you can just push yourself that little bit harder. So you can actually probably improve your strength as well. So it's really a bit of a no-brainer to have caffeine. What I think you really need to consider, though, is how it affects you as an individual. So some people, like for Ben, he might be able to have, say, 3 coffees and he could be fine. Whereas for me, after my, say, 2nd coffee, I'm jittery. It really affects me very badly. Yeah. So you've first got to start with some basic recommendations. So we're looking for about 3 to 6 milligrams per kilo of body weight before you train. So normally, if you have a caffeine tablet, we're talking about 200 milligrams, that's good for most people. If you're having a particularly heavy session or if you're competing, it might be that you have 2. And if you're a bigger athlete, you can do up to 3. When it comes to, say, caffeine tablets or powders versus coffee, the research leans towards like anhydrous or anhydrous is slightly more effective. However, you've also got to ask yourself, like, what do you enjoy? Like for me, I love a double espresso, so I'll have a double espresso in the morning before I go for a run. I feel great. So if you prefer coffee over caffeine, then do that. Just with timing, I would go for about 30 to 60 minutes before. However, I find for me, it hits me within 5-10 minutes. So I can have, say, a coffee 10-15 minutes before and I'll feel great. The big thing, though, is kind of how it affects you afterwards. If you find that you're quite, say, not susceptible, you're quite sensitive to caffeine and it affects your sleep, don't have it before your evening workout, because if it's stopping you sleep, that's going to have a far worse effect than not having a good workout. So if you're having a terrible night's sleep, your days are ruined because you're having caffeine in the night. That's a far worse trade-off than not having caffeine before your workout. So you've got to think about dosages, how you feel with it, but also making sure that if you're sensitive to it, stop having it about 2 to 3 in the afternoon. And that's going to give it plenty of time to clear out your system.
Awesome. Yeah. And again, I've learned that, and that's the little numbers. When you start playing around and thinking about what the trade-off is and stuff like that, like you said, there's no point smashing loads of supplements if you are an athlete that works out at night and then you can't sleep and can't recover, and then you just kind of go in that vicious circle each time trying to pep yourself up. So again, so that might be, obviously, if you listen to this, you may want to just look at your schedule and look about your routine building up to, especially for an athlete that is training at night, and just think about what that preparation is. Are you totally hydrated? Are you eating all the way up? Have you had something to eat before you train? Don't look for that quick fix of, caffeine. And then again, for me, I couldn't train at night purely because of the endorphins that are released after I train.
Yeah.
I couldn't relax. It would take me ages for my CNS to recover and stuff like that. So, I won't be able to sleep well at night. First thing in the morning, train, and then, be ready for bed.
I agree with this. What I've seen plenty of times that people rely on these kind of pre-workouts. And if because I don't have a pre-workout, I'm going to have a shit workout. But it's not that you're not having the coffee or you're not having your pre-workout. It's because you're not sleeping properly. You're basically you rely on that pre-workout. Whereas if you kind of stopped that, slept better, started eating better, you wouldn't need that kind of, I have to have my pre-workout for every single session. So like you said, just you've got to think about how it affects you.
Yeah. So there's always measures before you think, right, before I'm going to jump into bed with supplements, I need to just work back and think whether I actually need it, or there's something else I could be doing first before I start making that transition. Paul, thank you very much. So Jack, if anyone wanted to get at you any further information in regards to the world of nutrition, where can people reach out to you?
Yeah, so just head over to boxnutrition.co.uk, and again, just kind of search that on Facebook and just ask me anything really. And I've got to plug it now. You're here. Make sure you get a copy of Fueling the Functional Athlete, guys. It's available on Amazon, but I'm going to be getting some more printed copies. I've sold out, and it's going to be cheaper. So make sure you have a look for that as well. It's got a really good supplement timeline in there about exactly what you should be having. So.
Yeah, I was just seeing if I had my copy with me, but my signed copy. No, that must be up in the office framed.
Nutrition.
No, it's a very good book. A lot of our athletes have bought and read it and gleaned a lot of information. The reason I really like the book and the way and your approach, like you said, you're very simplistic, and you just talk about obviously more about the easier things that you can manage as opposed to getting into the scientific and the sexy stuff. And is that really needed for that person? So cool. So just to finish off, I'm going to ask you a few things, and you just have to answer overrated or underrated. Okay. So we're going to start off with nutrition. Underrated or overrated?
Overrated compared to training.
Yeah. Okay. Games of Thrones.
Overrated.
Yeah, agreed. Nando's.
Overrated.
Diet teas.
Oh, diet teas really overrated.
Stormzy.
Not a fan. Overrated.
Yeah, big time. Food tracking.
Oh, I'm gonna go underrated.
Underrated. BCAA.
Underrated. Obviously, they're brilliant.
Overrated. Overrated.
Yeah.
Okay. Birmingham.
Underrated.
Vegetables.
Underrated.
Coffee.
Underrated.
Definitely. Okay, cool. Jack, thank you very much for being on here. No doubt we'll probably ask you to come back on, because when people ask loads of stuff about nutrition, you are my go-to guy. So if you enjoyed it, we'd love to have you back on. Guys, if you, like I said, need more information, get in touch with Jack via his channels.
Cheers,
Good to see you, Jack. Thank you very much. Have an awesome day.
You too, mate.
See you later.